Daybreak on Biz News is proudly brought to you by Bonitas, the medical aid for South Africa.
Good morning and welcome to the Biz News Daybreak. Today is Thursday, the 4th of June. I'm Kerry Lanigan. Up first, let's get the latest overnight world news from our partners at Bloomberg.
Israel and Lebanon have agreed to renew their fragile ceasefire. Tonight, the State Department said the ceasefire is contingent on a complete cessation of firing from Hezbollah and the evacuation of all Hezbollah operatives from areas south of the Litani River. Now, the effect would create a number of pilot security zones inside Lebanon from which Hezbollah militants would be banned. Here is Bloomberg's Michael Heath.
The difficulty is that obviously Lebanon doesn't control its own territory. I mean, we're talking about Hezbollah here, which is, sort of one of the biggest non-state actors in the world, very, very significant and with a lot of firepower. So the question is, President Trump also said that he'd spoken to some senior Hezbollah officials. So the question is, if Hezbollah, whether they do keep firing or not. If they don't, then presumably this does go ahead because, there are Lebanese officials obviously who are go-betweens with Hezbollah, and as long as they can keep Hezbollah quiet, then Israel is likely to back off as well.
Now, this agreement also calls for the Lebanese army to take full control of these security zones with an aim of enabling progress toward a comprehensive peace and security agreement. In Washington, the Republican-led House of Representatives has voted to halt the U.S. war with Iran. GOP representatives broke with President Trump on an unpopular foreign conflict that's taking an escalating economic toll on Americans. We got reaction from Democratic Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire.
Now the House and Senate have both passed resolutions on the war in Iran with majorities that say the president needs to rethink his policy on Iran and needs to come to Congress. So I hope that this sends a message to the White House, and we will be taking up the Senate measure that passed probably in the next week or so. And we'll see what happens as the result of the passage of the House resolution.
Now, the 215 to 208 vote shows worries over the war spreading in the president's own party 5 months before congressional elections. Earlier today, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi told the semi-official Tasnim news agency that communication between Iran and the U.S. has not been cut off, although he did add no progress has been achieved in the negotiating process. There are questions over final details, including whether Tehran will allow free passage through the Strait of Hormuz, as well as the fate of Iran's stockpiles of highly enriched uranium. SpaceX is seeking to raise $75 billion in the largest IPO in history. According to an SEC filing, SpaceX is offering 555.6 million shares, and the company sees the price of $135 each. Here is Bloomberg's Anthony Hughes.
It appears that they're now looking at a fixed price, and I think people will speculate or wonder, why they're doing that. Because it's for most IPOs in the US, or certainly large IPOs, you generally go with a range, and then gauge the amount of demand out there for the offering, and then ideally price the offering at the high end of that range and potentially go above.
That is Bloomberg's Anthony Hughes. Now, Elon Musk is expected to keep tight control over SpaceX with about 84.4% voting power after this IPO. Meantime, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is planning to discuss the SpaceX IPO next week with the bank's high net worth clients. After the bell, Broadcom issued a disappointing forecast for AI chip revenue. Here is Gil Luria, head of tech research at D.A. Davidson.
This company has a big role in the growth of AI. It's just expectations were well beyond what consensus estimates were. And so a small beat just wasn't enough to keep the stock where it's at. And again, it's trading at a premium to NVIDIA. NVIDIA is trading in the low 20s on next 12 months earnings. Broadcom's trading in the 30s on next 12 months earnings.
That is Gil Luria of D.A. Davidson. Shares in Broadcom down 12% in late U.S. trading.
Amazon is stepping up its challenge to take a lot, launching its full Prime offering in South Africa with fast delivery, entertainment, and shopping benefits bundled into a single subscription. In an interview with Alec Hogg, Amazon Prime Vice President Jamil Ghani explains the company's ambitions for the local market.
First of all, it's a very, very important and a celebratory day today to be launching Prime in South Africa, our 27th country. Um, like you said, our members have been able to enjoy Prime Video for some time now at 79 Rand. They now will be able to enjoy all of the Prime benefits, including fast, free, unlimited shipping, which I want to talk to you, and I'm sure you want to talk about, for 59 Rand. And for those that are ready to commit to a year, it's 399 Rand, which you did the math. It comes out like a screaming deal on a monthly equivalent basis. We're incredibly excited. Prime everywhere is about three things. It's about shipping and the convenience it brings, savings, which we're going to talk about Prime Day, I'm sure, which I'm extremely excited about for our South African members, and then entertainment. And the Prime program in South Africa was built for the country across those three key pillars.
You run this program around the world, 200 million members. Have you got a target for how many you can add through the South African ecosystem?
Well, we have big aspirations. We think the proposition will resonate strongly. That combination of fast, free, and limited shipping, next day in all the major cities, same day in three of the biggest cities, Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. Prime Video, free download games from Amazon Luna. Like, that combination is a fantastic proposition. We don't share our specific numbers. We have well north of 200 million in 27 countries as of this morning. I'm obsessed about every single customer's experience. I want to make sure that they can experience Prime. We offer a 30-day free trial, which also sets us apart from a lot of other subscriptions that have gone away from doing that. We want Prime members to experience the program and to decide how it fits into their lifestyle. I think you will find, and they will find, that it just transforms the way you think about shopping, removing the complexity of shipping fees, broad selection, same on entertainment. And so I think it's day one, as we say, literally today. And I hope it will resonate with our customers in South Africa.
Healthcare matters, but what matters most?
Having cover for the people who keep this business going.
Bonitas is there for you when it counts. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. Visit bonitas.co.za and find your plan.
The DA is calling for urgent action against the country's illegal number plate trade, warning that cloned and unregistered plates are creating major risks for motorists and law enforcement alike. Toby Chance explains in an interview with Biz News.
So I was contacted by Mr. Jan de Lange just over a year ago. He is the president of the Number Plate Association of South Africa and is also an embosser of number plates. And he was alerting me to this problem, which has been going on for some years, it seems. And his first point was that there were three manufacturers of embossing machines in South Africa, and he had a couple of complaints against them. The first was that they were allegedly colluding on price. The second was that they were supplying their machines to unregistered, uncertified embossing companies, retail companies, and that those companies were then supplying members of the public with illegal number plates at random and in large numbers. To answer your second question, roughly 250,000 number plates are issued a month. That's obviously not just for new cars, but it's for all cars that are bought and sold, second-hand cars and so on. And of those, they reckon that 3/5 could possibly be supplied by illegal embossers, which is a terrifying statistic. And that means that those number plates haven't been recorded in any central database. They may just be made-up numbers. More worryingly, they may be cloned numbers of, legal drivers, and instances have been reported where those numbers have been used by criminals, and then the person with the legitimate number plate is then arrested by the police for a crime they didn't commit. So it just goes on and on.
So it sounds like the safety of all road users are at stake in all of this.
It certainly is, yes. And nobody knows who's getting those number plates. So what happened was in April this year, my colleague Londi Ndluli, March, after many, many months of pressure, was able to persuade the Competition Commission, and this was also pressure from LASA as well, the Marketplace Association, to refer the matter to the Competition Tribunal. So the Competition Tribunal is investigating, and we have had communications with the South African Bureau of Standards, which is an entity reporting to the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. And their officials have formed a technical task team to investigate. I'm also working with our Deputy Minister in the department, Alexander Abrahams, who has direct oversight of that organization. But ultimately, it's the ministers that have the executive authority, hence my letter to all three ministers.
Staying with consumer protection, digital banking fraud continues to rise around the world, with scammers increasingly using technology and AI to target victims. In an interview with BizNews journalist Chris Stein, governance, compliance, and risk expert Deshni Govender discusses the latest trends and how banks are responding.
What about banking fraud globally? It's obviously not just happening in South Africa. What are the trends?
Like we mentioned earlier, this is not localized to South Africa alone. It's across the globe. And it can be largely attributed to, AI, digitization, and things like that. But we can also use AI and digitization to our advantage as well. We could actually use it to be one step ahead of the fraudsters and the criminals. You'll see that the banking industry is actually being revolutionized now. There's like Revolut, a totally digital bank, that has now obtained its license. It's currently operating in the UK and Europe and things like that, but it's got its license now to actually operate, in South Africa. Then as from next year, do you know the Pepco Group? They are actually coming out with their own bank. It's called Plus B. So there's a lot of other players that are going to be entering the market as well. And I think the key, for all the banks or for the conventional banks and things like that is to see who can actually manage the monies or the resources, of the citizens professionally and with integrity. So those newcomers as well are going to bring a different kind of vibe to the market. And I think the citizens will be tempted to go to banks where you can be assured, that your resources are absolutely safe.
In uncertain times, good information is priceless. The BizNews conference is heading back to the Drakensberg. Join me, Alec Hogg, from the 11th to the 14th of August for BNC 9, Champagne Sports Resort, where it all began and where our community gathers for honest conversations, smart investing insights, and direct access to some of South Africa's sharpest minds. Come and rub shoulders with the best we've got. 28 keynote speakers, 3 days. Seats are available now. Book your seat by clicking the link in the description.
And finally, to the UK, where Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Reform UK leader Nigel Farage have clashed in Parliament following protests linked to the fatal stabbing of a teenager in Southampton. Here's Bloomberg.
Following the horrendous circumstances of Henry Novak's death, can I urge the Prime Minister to consider this? It is now clear to growing millions in this country that we're living under two-tier policing. The instructions that are given to police officers from police bosses are clear and written down in ink. It says you must treat different ethnic groups in different ways. That, apart from the upset and the anger at the circumstances of his death, the anger that you saw spilling out in Southampton last night, and which is in danger, condemn the violence, which is in danger of getting considerably worse if the public lose trust. If the public lose trust in being treated fairly by the police, can he take some action, end this divisive practice of two-tier policing and make sure that all British citizens are treated the same.
Mr. Speaker, I don't believe there's two-tier policing in this country. I'm really shocked that he pretends to have respect for Henry's family and then acts in this way. They are a grieving family.
Mr. Brash, please, it's a very important question. I want to hear the Prime Minister. If you want to carry on, go outside, please, Prime Minister.
The grieving family have asked us not to respond in the way that the Leader of Reform has responded. They've asked us not to. They have lost their son in the most appalling circumstance. They make a simple plea of us as human beings to please not exploit that. That is their plea to us. And we all need to reflect on those words of Henry's father. My response, and the response of others, to be fair, has been focused on the lessons to be learned so we can deliver justice. His response has been to appeal for rage. Rage. That's his response to a father who's lost his son, and ask for that not to happen. Exploiting this tragedy to create grievance and division would be wrong in any circumstances, but to do it when the family are expressly saying, please don't, is unforgivable. It shows exactly who he is.
That's it for today's Biz News Daybreak. I'm Kerry Lanigan. Thanks for listening.
Daybreak on Biz News is proudly brought to you by Bonitas, the medical aid for South Africa.